Hello, everybody. I know there are many of you that are very happy this morning that participated on the short side of the dollar. Goldie called out levels, many called out levels that the euro touched before the Draghi speech, right after the announcement. So I know a lot of people did very well today. So congratulations to everyone. I'm very sure there weren't people that were dollar bulls coming into today in our community, because we've been preparing for this event for weeks now, okay? And the euro pound has been a foreshadowing of this move in the euro for many sessions, many days. That was the tell. So all I could say is this. Say you need a new car, you ought to hang out in LAR. Say you rent but want to buy a house, hang out with us before you click your mouse. And if you want to be a star, you gotta show your charts in LAR. Everybody give me an L A R. Lar, rar, 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 rar. Lar's the greatest trading room on the internet, whether you pay for it, and it's free like we used to be. Hello, everybody. I hope many of you had a good month today. Let's see who's in the house. I really don't have anything to add because there's at least a week's worth of action in 2 hours. So inflection points. We talked about inflection points into Draghi. There we are. Take a picture. So who's with us? Alex is here, JJ, Abel, Sinatra, Omar. Here I am. Sir Dale is here. Didn't you guys hear my song? Give me a Y if you guys could hear me, see my Euro chart. Can you hear me, guys? Can you guys hear me? No? I don't know why. Yes, it did. You guys can hear me loud and clear, JJ? Hi, Ali. Vedran, Alexei, Sinatra, Deb, Ashok, how are you? Nice to meet you. I know Vedran scored today. Goldie, I bet, scored. Khalid, Fab, Adinda, Doug, Abel, Fame. I hope you were there, Fame. Z, welcome to LAR. Jax, Zabi, Tarun, welcome to LAR. Omar, welcome back. Tico, Alexandros. So, who had a good week today? How you, Ghost? So we were ready. LAR was ready. Congratulations, Ved. Ved tweeted me that he was preparing to be long the euro. Nice trade, Ved. Bob, how are you? So, what do you guys think of the euro pound now? Do you think we got a right shoulder, completing a right shoulder in the euro pound now? So, the euro pound has been the market tell, with the euro making successive new lows and the euro pound putting in a higher low. Yeah, you had it called. Why didn't you take a position with less leverage? There'll be other trades, but that was kind of a special one. That was kind of a special trade, wasn't it? It diverged down here. Look at this divergence. I don't know if it did on the 1 hour. Yeah, the 1 hour did not diverge. Tougher call up here than it was down here. Everyone doing okay? Goldie, I bet you caught it. Everyone welcome Turin to our community. Hello, Zavi. How about a Lar welcome for Turin? I think there was another one. Well, if you reduce your leverage, you probably could do it, reduce your leverage in half, and then that's a bad restriction. So trade smaller. The whole community was on top of this. Okay. Not yesterday, but all last week we were looking for this. So a short squeeze in the euro should not have surprised anyone. You had a good year today? That's what I thought. Congratulations, Goldie. So that's why I say don't come into LAR to look for people to fade. Our mastermind was not surprised with today's. Okay, tell them Dale sent you. Our mastermind group was not surprised by the dollar action, were we? I think I was talking par 33, par 55 in the Dixie for quite some time, in fact. So, I've got it. S&Ps are trying to hold on. But look how it cracked this wedge. I'd say that's a pretty significant bar in the dollar index, wouldn't you? You think that's significant? Look at your daily euro charts now. I don't know, Alexandros. Hi, Deb. How are you? Everyone doing okay? Walt's still in the air. How can you have a setup after this type of volatility? Now you got to just let things reset, Sirik. You have to let them reset. Capiche? Am I doing okay? Yeah. Okay. That's good. I'm glad because I want the mining shares to get cheaper. So that's good news. You know, the stock market's not selling off that greatly either. Yeah, that's good news. Hello, Happy. How are you? Z, welcome to LAR. Everyone, welcome Z. Everyone doing okay? Ashok, welcome. That's right. You called it this week. Nice call, Alexandros. Alexandros, during his interview, called the top, looking for 98.40. Hello, Pipper. I am. Thank you, Happy. So I'm going to give the man award to Alexandros because Alexandros, during his interview, he called this move. Nice call by Alexandros, among others, but he did call the move during the interview. He showed the rising wedge and the Dixie. He gave levels that it could go to 98.40, 9935, 98.40, and then maybe 96. So that was a great interview, Alexandros, and you're the man. You win the man award today. I'm just looking for so you guys could play the music to the man award. I really think the whole community deserves the man award because we were all looking for this turn in the dollar. Most of us were, correct? So play this link as I play the man award. Click that link as I play the man award for Alexandros. Congratulations, great interview, Alexandros. Veteran, you deserve it too. You're the man. Sure. Okay, bad. We're all lions in here, aren't we all lions? Gladiators. Nostradamus glasses. I was wearing those this morning. Congratulations to Alexandris and to the LAR community as a whole for diagnosing this turn in the dollar. Congratulations, everybody. These are the days that make up for all the other stuff, days like this. It's nice to see a plan come together. So, I don't care about what happens next, you know? So after you've maybe booked a big trade like this, it's okay to not do anything until tomorrow. Let's see what kind of opportunities the NFP sets up for us. Right? We could still get a third drive to a top in US dollar yen. US dollar yen, the market could come back, dollar could recover, and we'll have a nice divergence if we get up to, say, the 124 range. Congratulations, yeah. Everyone doing okay? So I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Carlos Braga today. There was time to react after the announcement. Everyone doing all right? So this is what I say. Now that volatility, I don't know. I'm not my brother's keeper. Now that volatility and ranges have expanded, take this to heart more than ever. If you're going to start trading now that volatility has increased dramatically, Use less leverage when you trade the markets. Use wider stops so you don't get picked off. If you don't use less leverage, you'll lose your head. Your account will be dead. Use less leverage. Use less leverage. Reduce your trade size. What do you mean disease? Khalid is gracing us with a screenshot. Use less leverage. You trade the markets. Use wider stops. Euro, right back to resistance of a breakdown. Yeah, so it got back to that line. Interesting. Nice look, Khalid. So we should get some consolidation. I don't think it's going to fail. I really don't. I actually think we'll get back above this line. You have a little mini dollar panic now. Certainly took out a lot of shorts. I've been talking about buy stops getting elected in the euro, and they sure got plenty of buy stops today. Thank you, D. Kadick. That's the charm of the music. It covers up for my out-of-tune voice, Rick. Don't you get it? I know I'm not Joe Bonamassa. Ricardo, I know I'm not Joe Bonamassa. Oh yeah, here's Alexandro's screenshot from the webinar. Yeah, nice. So the cloud supported it. It's down to the cloud. Oh, the yellow thing. All right. We're probably going here eventually, aren't we? Down here. Or here. I think we go at least to the 50% retrace. Great call, Alexandros. Thank you. I miss it too. You got to stop. Thank you, Alex. You might get your wish, Sarah. You might get your wish. But I'll tell you something, it's not going to make it any better for others in the world. Maybe in Asia, but not where you're at, if you're in Europe. Maybe South America, things will get better. That's why it's going to be great to talk to Professor Carlos Braga. You agree with what? Are you an American, a United States hater too, Alexandros? How many out there would like to see the U.S. go into a crisis? I'm taking a poll. Give me a why if you'd like to see the United States suffer. Okay. Why? Why? Why do you root for it? No, it's not. Ghost has wanted to. Okay, so it's kind of like jealousy. That's a good fight, Happy. How do you? Yeah, they go wherever the wind blows. That's true. No, UK went China's way. They're part of it. Part of that bank. I'm just I'm just I'm just no, you don't hate us, you just want us to suffer. I know, just the leadership. I knew you were going to say that. Well, one won't happen without the other. We'll see how well China treats the world. Okay? Because it's their ascension. We'll see how the kings of the East. Yeah. Yeah. Well, couldn't that be because of who you guys elect? Could that be part of the problem? I thought President Obama made the U.S. loved in the world, but it seems that's not the case. People are just as hateful towards the U.S. under Obama as they were under Bush. Find it interesting. So it's really not about the leadership. Use less leverage when you trade the euro. Uh, yeah. How did we destroy European banks? How did the U.S. destroy them? Didn't the eurozone destroy European banks with all the bad paper from the pigs? How did the U.S. banks destroy European banks? Anyway, I don't think it's going to be easy wherever you are. If the world slips into recession and the strongest economic engine starts to fail. Anyway, I think we're going to get another shot to short the yen up here. Looking for one more drive in the yen. One more drive in the yen I'm looking for. Oh, you know what? Those loans are nothing compared to the bad sovereign debt they're carrying on their books from the housing crisis. That pales in comparison to the bad sovereign debt that the banks own. At least that's what I think. Anyway, do you guys see this? See this in the yen up here? Also, I noticed that the Aussie 3 drive to a top trade worked, right? Or might be starting to work. We diverged again up here in the Aussie. Aussie looks vulnerable. You know, I don't know what to do with the CAD. I have no idea. I think I'll wait for 135. 135. Maybe we get one more rally. Look, it looks like it wants to rally one more time. Maybe this is one. Maybe this is drive one right here. And this is drive two. And maybe we get a push up here to 4.5 to 5. Does that help? Happy? I'd like to see where the RSI is. Should Canada get back up there? Does that help, Happy? Don't worry, be happy. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be back in 5. So start breaking out some charts. Looks like Canada and the yen can make another move here. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you, Adinda. Okay, Dinda. Thank you. I'm back, everyone. Everyone doing okay? Euro yen. Alien was calling for 133. He got it. Euro yen. Euro CAD. Pretty good too. All the euro crosses. We're thinking the yen might try one more move up here and we won't get over 70. So maybe it's tomorrow after the NFP. Watch the yen up here. Up near 124. I think it could be a good shorting opportunity after the NFP tomorrow. You don't have to agree with me, but give me a Y if you see drive 1. There's drive 2, which confirmed, which tells me we should get another high that will not confirm, at least one high in US dollar yen that will not confirm like this one did. And the 4-hour, it's even a little bit more convincing. The 124 level is very important for the bears to defend up here, because if we start closing much above it, then we're going for new highs, probably up towards 128. Thank you, Rick. Yeah. Yeah. 34, 60, and then 36. Yeah. Nice look, Rick. Everyone thank Rick for that look. USD CAD. Everyone doing all right? We have any new people in here with us today? Chris J, welcome to LAR. I believe you're a new handle. Everyone give Chris J a LAR welcome. Welcome, Chris. JM's back. Hi, Tico Planet. How are you? JM, how's it going? Okay, so we got to the first target in Euro Pound on Siric's work. Okay. Still was a great trade. 240 pips. Nice trade. I was asking people if they got in on it yesterday, the day before. I think some people did it. Here's Khalid's look in the end, probably is my guess. I'm with you on that number. Good one, Khalid. Thank you, Sirik. Thank you, Khalid. Nice looks. I like those lines in the end. Thank you. What did Mauricio's new? Okay. Everyone welcome Mauricio Carrillo. Give him a large welcome. Everyone welcome Mauricio. Everyone welcome. Aussie looks like a short, JJ. Aussie yen is too, probably. Aussie yen's diverging up here too. Aussie yen's going to be a good one. Crude's trying to bounce. Gold's acting all right. Aussie's rolling over. Nice divergence. Nice divergence. Never negated this line up here that was drawn all week. Everyone welcome Forex Stop Hunter to our community. Make them feel at home. Welcome Forex Stop Hunter. Feel free to share your work with us. This community is not about me, not about you, Forex Stop Hunter. It's about everyone in here. We're a mastermind. Yeah, I think we're there, JJ. Now that the Aussies run out of juice. Not when your girlfriend yells at you. Maybe you like that. Thank you. Thank you, Sinatra. Thank you, Mauricio. Thank you, Pipper. PMIs. Weak, huh? They're not going to tighten. Bad day for the dollar, man. Have you heard the Max Leverage song? Use max leverage when you trade the markets. Turn $10 into 10K. Use max leverage when you trade the markets. and your account will go away. Go away when you use max leverage. Use max leverage when you trade the FX market. 10,000 to 1 you could find at a bucket shop. Use max leverage when you trade the market. Turn $10 into 10K. But if you're wrong for 5 minutes, it won't be a home run. Your account will go away. It'll go away. It'll go away. You, Goldie? You know, and I thought there was going to be one more high because I knew the euro would make a new low, and it never made a new high. Goldie, you know what you are? Goldie, you are the man. Who thinks Goldie's a man? He really nailed. He had the discipline to stay short the Swiss. You want to trade there? Everyone congratulate Goldie. And this is why we're congratulating Goldie. Very patient. Congrats, Goldie. Wow. Speech. Welcome to LAR, Nicholas. How about a LAR welcome for Nicholas? Make Nicholas feel at home. I don't know if I would assume that. Nice to meet you. How you doing, Tico, my trading warrior brother? Chris J, how you doing? Hope that LAR is adding value to your trading experience here at FX Street. Doug, how are you? Fame, how you doing? John 573, Ali. No, Ali probably cleaned up and crude. JJ, Ved, Alexandros, Mauricio, Planet. Haven't heard much from you, Planet. Seen your handle here a few days. Hope you're doing well. Nice to see you in here. You're doing Coolio, huh? Okay. Oh, shit. Abel is here. See you, Alexandros. Take care, buddy. Congratulations on being the man. Stand by for our interview with Professor Carlos Braga. So I want to see what the yen looks like up around that 24 region, just like Decadic. Looks like he's aiming for a short up there at 24.20-ish. Yeah. You guys love LAR? Do you love LAR? Give me a Y if you love LAR. What do you guys think of that Dale Pinkert guy? Decent analyst or huckster? Or a stop hunter? Thinks Dale's very good. Did you have any Froggy? Did you have Kermit for dinner, Mauricio over there? Did you have Kermit? It's with great pride I'd like to announce how humble I've become. It's with the greatest of pride I'd like to announce how humble I have become. Go have some tonight with 6 Qingtaos. What's the Japanese beer you're drinking over there, buddy? Octopus, okay. What beer are you drinking? What brand beer? I know you've had Japanese beer over there. What's your favorite? Your favorite? Come on, tell me the beer you're having. Thank you, Sarah. Scorpions, ugh. You're crazy, man. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Ellie. Am I extremely accurate? You like that, huh? Come on, tell me the beer you drink. Sapporo. That's a good beer. I like sake. It warms you up. So what are you thinking now, Ali? Give me some numbers in euro. Numbers in the euro and the Dixie, Ali. Karen. Okay, Janet's going to be blabbing here. Janet's coming up. So, guys, I'm going to be closing up 10 minutes early. Kathy Lean at Kathy Lean FX is going to be following up LAR for her pre-NFP preview. That's going to be coming up after LAR. Stay tuned for Kathy Lean. Kathy Lean. You guys are making me want to have, I know I brought it up. Maybe I should have a breakfast beer. Here's her speech. I think the economy is strong enough for us to lift off unless it's not strong in the NFP tomorrow, and we're data dependent, so we could move or we may not move, and we'll know if we're going to move when we do, and if we don't, we'll tell you we'll tell you how long it might be before we raise rates, and the economy and the jobs are going good, and we're trying to get to our inflation target, and we're all just trying to do the best we can at the Fed. So I don't know why Congress doesn't like us and they want to audit us, because that wouldn't be good for the country. So I think we might raise rates in December, but if we don't, we might do it next year sometime unless the data doesn't improve, and then we will have to consider whether or not we should begin another quantitative easing program. So you guys listen to her speech and tell me if it's any different. Huh? Oh, Siri, you already heard her speech, Siri. I've met with all the other members of the board, and some of them agree with me, and some of them are a little hesitant to agree with me, but they said someday they might agree with me, and then we'll have an agreement. Oh, God. One day we'll agree to do something, and we'll let you know if we do. But if we don't, we'll tell you when we might maybe not do something again. Oh, boy. You like that speech? Wingman? So in Lara, I'm doing impersonations now. You guys want to hear my Draghi imitation? Who wants to hear my Draghi imitation? That was Janet Yellen. Here's Draghi. Muching. more, more muchiness. 112. Yeah. Here's Draghi today. Oh, we're gonna ease so we can have some more pizza. We want to lower the rate. We want to lower the rates a little bit, so the euro could go down and we could sell our pizzas to America. Easy, easy, a little bit easy, so you can buy the pizza at the Pilot. We will do whatever it takes. Just believe in me, I tell you. I talked to the Godfather last night, and he told me, Mario, you just got to drive the euro lower. You got to drive the euro to lower. It went to higher, and now the pizza pie is more expensive to buy here in Italy than in the U.S. That's Draghi. So that's it, guys. You've heard my Janet Yellen and Mario Draghi imitation. Our economy is turning into spaghetti. We got to make the euro go down, or all it is the pasta, the red sauce, the meatballs. We got to. We got to export more of our meatballs and our pizza and lasagna and cannolis and everything to the USA. We need a lower euro. So we keep the export to the engines going. And then I drive in my Ferrari to go and get a pizza. And the euro today, higher. I get the pizza cheaper. It's that's amore. All right, so Yellen's not driving the dollar down. She probably likes a weaker dollar. Yen's fading again. S&P's down 8. Gold shares not doing much. They're up. So stand by for Professor Carlos Braga. Time to get serious again now, guys. Malcolm, how are you? Hi, Fab. How are you, buddy? Always glad to see your handle. The Grays are in the house. Planet's here. Take the rate hike. So stand by for our interview with Professor Carlos Braga. Everyone doing all right? How are my my trading warrior brothers and sisters doing? Yen's coming off again. Stand by for our interview. Could be some good intelligence gathering, get a feel for what Professor Braga sees happening in the global economy. Did you take it, Tico? Did you take it? We talked about it. Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, they ought to follow that guy Pinker. Stand by for our interview. Should be a great one. I'm looking forward to welcoming Professor Carlos Braga to LAR. Just waiting to hear him enter. Everyone doing okay? How are my trading warrior brothers and sisters doing? Ricardo's got something going on. See what Rick has going here on the S&P. Rick's nailed some great S&P trades in the past. I'm always interested in his views. Okay. Wow, it's breaking this whole uptrend here, Rick. We should go back to the lows, but at least something like this. But if this is a rising wedge, we should get all the way back down here someday, don't you think? Thank you, Rick. Well, Nicholas, you have to let it go. Oh, there are things that are more important than a trade. There'll be another trade. Be patient and wait for the next setup. And don't get depressed because it could be worse. You could get bad news from a doctor, right? A lot of things can be worse than missing a euro trade. So it's not what happens to us in life, it's how we react and respond to it. Everyone doing okay? Well, I told them I thought there'd be one more push down. Yeah, it's just starting. Just wait for the next setup. There you go. Don't sweat the small stuff. Capiche? Don't sweat the small stuff. Most of it is small. It's small. Maybe Professor Draga's in the house here. Could be. Hello, Professor Braga. How are you? Can you hear me, Prof? Can you hear me, Prof? There's Carlos. Hello, Professor Braga. Dale Pinkert here. Nice to meet you. Can't hear you. Waiting to hear you. Take your time. Maybe Adinda could, or Mauricio could help you out so that we could hear the professor. Hello, Professor Braga. Can you hear me, Carlos? Are you able to help him out, Adinda? I think that Aussie yen's going to hold 89.20. This was a big level, 89.5 to 89.20. While we're waiting for the professor to rejoin us. So I saw you guys talking about Aussie yen. I figured down here for the first wave, back down towards the daily pivot, which is 89.20. Right down here should be the initial target for Aussie yen. Thank you, Adinda. You don't have to agree with me, but tell me you see the 89.20, 89.10 pivot point in Aussie yen. Give me a Y if you see it. You guys see it? Okay, great. So there'll be plenty of opportunities if this is a top. If this is a top, we're going all the way back down to the bottom, right? If this is just a wave 4, what kind of low is this on the weekly Aussie yen? What kind of low is that on the weekly Aussie yen? Tell me what kind of low that is. What's the, okay, I agree with that too. But what kind of low do we have at the lows in Aussie yen on the weekly? Is there a divergence there? Come on, you guys know what kind of low that is. How do I define that low? It's a confirmed low, right? The RSI made a new low with price down here. There was no reversal candle. It just stopped and went back up. So what's the implications here of a confirmed low in Aussie yen? What's the implications from the real simple implicator? That's right, Goldie. So what can we expect? What's the probability? Isn't there a high probability that that is not the low because it was confirmed without any divergence? That's a possibility we have to be open to, correct? Give me a Y if you understand it. I showed you guys the same thing on the pound before the pound failure. Same concept. Knowing that information is gold and actionable. Doesn't help you with the timing, but it's gold and actionable. Yeah, we should take it out. Eventually. Yeah. There you go, Abel. Okay. We may have to reschedule this interview. Well, we got 2 off in a row. So Goldie lost his bet to me. He said we couldn't do 2 in a row without a problem, and we accomplished that Tuesday and Wednesday. There's the professor.
Hi there.
Hello, Professor. Hello, Professor Braga. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. The only thing is Hangout is hanging my computer off. So let's see if it works.
It's working great right now, and you know what? You show the traits of a great trader. You don't give up. You're persistent, and thank you for being persistent and being with us today. I'd like to start with a question. How did you gravitate towards specializing in global economics? What was the attraction to wanting to know how the global economy worked?
Well, as I often tell my students, you cannot plan these things. Of course, it depends on your curiosity. It depends on accidents that happens throughout your professional life. In reality, I was originally trained as a mechanical engineer.
Wow.
And living in a country like Brazil, and of course facing issues, high levels of inflation,
Yes.
and growth issues, this made a natural interest in economics to blossom, and I began to work. I did a master's and then a PhD in economics, and one thing led to another. I entered and had a career with the World Bank where I worked for 21 plus years. So it's one thing led to another. It was not planned.
You know, sometimes the best things that happen to us in life, Professor, are things that aren't planned, almost serendipitous, and it's like a magnet. And so really it was living under the economic conditions that you were trying to build your life with in Brazil, and seeing a lot of financial upset, currency crises, the default in Brazil in the 70s, that drove you to go, you know, I want to figure this out. Why is this happening? And your career took you on this path. And what a great time for us to be talking to you about what's happening globally in the economy. And why don't we start with your home country, Brazil, with what's happening there, Petrobras, fraud, scandal, other South American countries experiencing some difficulty. And a lot of them, the problem, they're probably breathing a sigh of relief today because the dollar turned. And a lot of their problems are being pegged to the dollar, which is making it even more difficult for them to service debt as well as falling commodity prices. So is there a light at the end of the rainbow, and would a lower dollar help these countries recover?
Well, of course, each country has its own characteristics, but if we talk about countries that are dependent on commodities, as is the case of Brazil, and the evolution of the dollar has significant implications for how the economy is going to evolve. Brazil is in an economic crisis, as everybody is quite aware nowadays. I would argue that it's much more a political crisis than an economic crisis. But there is, of course, a strong economic undercurrents making the adjustment even more difficult because, to a certain extent, a model of development that Brazil pursued for the last 12 years or so, which was based on high price of commodities, which was based on domestic credit expansion, which was based on a protected economy, and also lots of intervention in support of so-called national champions. This model,
Petrobras,
among others,
yes.
this model has come to its limits. It has been able to deliver some income redistribution, and in this context is well appreciated by segments of the population, but had a very negative impact in terms of productivity and in terms of modernization of the economy. So, as I said, the model has reached its limits, and if you connect to the political crisis that has been becoming more acute over the last 12 months, of course, there is a strong linkage here in the sense that the government, the party in power, and its allies have also used mechanisms associated with corruption and not very transparent practices in terms of how some key enterprises operate to siphon resources in support of political objectives. The good news is that Brazil is showing the capacity, or even a developing country like Brazil, is still an emerging economy, to have a judiciary power that is significantly independent and able to pursue the kind of problems that we are facing. So these are the good news. The bad news is that you ask if there is a light at the end of the rainbow. Well, I would say that right now, and changing from rainbow to tunnel, the only light that I can see is a train coming in the wrong direction, because the headwinds that the Brazilian economy is going to face in the international arena, be it because of the expected continued appreciation of the dollar vis-a-vis currencies like the euro and the yen, be it because of the price of commodities that probably are going to continue to be subdued for a while in view of the deceleration of the Chinese economy. All of this makes the adjustment in the case of Brazil more difficult. at this point
Okay.
in time.
Do you think that the real should be unpegged from the dollar?
Well, the real was never really pegged to the dollar. It was a floating managed currency and continues to be. But over the 12 months or so, we have seen significant depreciation of the real, more than 40% against a basket of relevant currencies with which Brazil trades. So, in this sense, this problem of significant appreciation of the real that Brazil experienced during the commodities super cycle has been partially corrected. We can debate what is the right value for the real, but compared to last year, we are, as I already mentioned, 40% devalued. So, in this sense, this is beginning to help an adjustment in the current account. Although the response of, for instance, the exporting sector has been somewhat muted so far, in part because of what is happening with the price of commodities, in part because of the political and economic crisis, in the sense that there is lots of uncertainty, and this affects decisions to engage in business right now. But I would expect, yes, that we are going to see continued improvement in terms of the balance of trade of Brazil, maybe not at the velocity that the government would like, but the direction at least is the right one. How much more the real needs to adjust, it will depend a lot on the domestic situation. On one hand, with the dramatic recession that Brazil is facing, probably in the -3 to -3.5% range in 2015 in terms of negative growth. Imports, of course, are diminishing significantly. Exports, as I said, we have not yet seen a significant rebound, but the current account, yes, has already begun to show signs of improvement.
Okay, and what is your, this is timely because we did have an ECB decision and also policy adjustments for their QE program, and the reaction was a higher euro based upon what the ECB and Draghi said today. What do you make out of that, and do you think that this is just a short-term blip of the euro recovering? And do you see any potential signs that the dollar could begin to weaken if the Fed does not move in December, or even if they move, the economic numbers have not been extremely strong? We had a very negative manufacturing number this week in the U.S. So first of all, your reaction to what Draghi and the ECB did today, and second of all, is it possible that the U.S. Economy isn't as strong as the global currency traders believe, and couldn't even higher interest rates weaken the U.S. dollar?
Well, of course, I'm not operating as many of you are in the day-to-day operations in the Forex market. And as a consequence, I don't pay too much attention on a day-to-day, let's say, blips in the market, simply because my, let's say, working hypothesis continues to be that we are going to see divergence in terms of monetary policies in the U.S. vis-a-vis the European Union, the Eurozone, to be more precise, and Japan. So I don't know if it's going to be December or if it's going to be March, but definitely we are going to see interest rates beginning to go up in the United States. I think that in the case of Europe, even irrespectively of what happened today, the medium-term trend will continue to be one for an accommodating policy, with maybe some adjustments in QE, not that much in terms of the size, probably in terms of the options to operate in the market. And as a consequence, I continue to expect the dollar to appreciate in relative terms vis-a-vis the euro. But this is a medium to long-term perspective. In between, of course, you can have many gyrations in the market. So, yes,
Let me ask you this. I understand the day-to-day. On a macro level, Professor Braga, do you believe fair value in the euro is 90 cents, 85? When it was initiated in Deutschmark terms, it was about 80, 85 cents. Do you have any projections as to what would be a fair valued euro against a dollar, and or what would be an undervalued euro against a dollar?
You can do exercises with, let's say, purchasing power parity type of analysis, and probably at this point in time, you could even argue that the level that we have nowadays is probably close to equilibrium. But again, what will determine, in my mind, the value of the euro in the next 12 months or so is going to be the relative trends in monetary policy in the US and in Europe. And as I already mentioned, I do expect they to diverge, although I fully agree that to read the leaves of the American economy today is very complex, but I think there is a growing consensus among policymakers in the US that it's a little bit more hawkish in terms of interest rates. So I think December is probably going to see some change. And as a consequence, at least in the medium term, the trend, in my mind, is going to be towards a stronger dollar rather than a weaker dollar. How much? I don't know. If I knew, I would have retired by now.
Yes, we'd all be fishing. Let's switch gears towards China, Professor. And they've taken some draconian steps in the last 6 months. They made it illegal to short stocks. They were the big engine of commodity demand. Obviously, that's being reflected not just by a strong dollar pressuring it, but lower demand, final demand coming from China. And what's your reaction to the yuan being included in the IMF SDR? What's your outlook on China? Are people too bearish about China at this point of time?
Well, I think that the perceptions about China, of course, are very much influenced by the long trajectory of dramatic growth that the Chinese economy has demonstrated and be able to consistently sustain. So then people say, well, we were in double digits, now we are around 7%, and of course there is a debate about the quality of this data, but it's still growing quite fast, and now we are seeing signs of deceleration, maybe towards 6. Well, first thing is to keep in mind that the Chinese economy is nowadays a huge economy, and 6% of roughly $10 trillion has a much bigger impact in the world economy than 12% growth of a 2 trillion economy. So we have to keep things in perspective. In this sense, I would expect China to continue to be a major contributor to world growth. Having said that, it's also true that there are some huge imbalances in China. One number that comes to my mind is just to look for instance, at the consumption of cement in China. Between 2011 and 2013, China consumed more cement than the United States in the whole of the 20th century. So obviously this is, let's say, something unsustainable. It reflects the huge investment in infrastructure that the Chinese economy is going through. It reflects also different modes of construction in these countries, but we know for a fact that there is lots of investment in real estate that has been financed, particularly by the so-called shadow financial sector in China, that may face problems, and an adjustment will happen. Am I, let's say, expecting a hard landing in China? No, I think that the government does have the levers, let's say, to manage this process. But definitely we are going to see much less appetite for commodities for a while. We are going to see a slowdown, let's say, in imports, and the adjustment is going to be interesting, to say the least, in terms of how, from a political point of view, the government is going to handle this. Now, you mentioned the SDR and the yuan becoming part of the basket. This, from the point of view of the Chinese government, has been a major objective, and can debate if China really has, let's say, all the characteristics that the rules of the game require for you to have to be characterized as a reserve currency. But definitely the yuan is moving in that direction, and it's much more a question now of financial debt and liberalization. I don't know how quickly the Chinese government will be able to, let's say, move in this direction. Because in the case of China, if you ask the Chinese government, okay, is the yuan determined by the market? And they will answer, yes, definitely. We make sure that supply and demand are, let's say, influenced by right policies from the central bank for us to obtain a stable yuan. That's, let's say, that interpretation of market force. You can debate if this is really what the IMF had in mind in terms of really exchange rate and in terms of reserve currency. But it is a very important development in terms of the status of the Chinese economy, and is something that is consistent with the growing weight of the Chinese economy in the world economy.
Let me ask you this. What do you think was behind their strategy for mass accumulation of gold?
Come again, I had a problem in hearing you.
What do you think is behind China's move to accumulate mass quantities of gold over the last couple of years? What's the reason for it?
Well, again, with the huge current account surplus of China, you had a situation in which the country first, over time, of course, built significant reserves, probably more than what would be optimal, and also invested in assets like gold. But to be very frank, it's not an area that I would claim any expertise, but I think it goes along the lines of, let's say, building buffers, given the opportunities also that China sees in terms of investment.
How about down the road having a gold-backed currency if fiat currencies come into question?
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but who knows?
All right, let's switch back to South America. Mauricio wanted me to ask you, And maybe at first you could comment on the political change in Argentina, but Mauricio wants to know what your outlook is for both Colombia and Chile.
Well, let's start with the good news. So Argentina, the new government, at least in terms of the rhetoric, is saying the right things, and one would expect some positive change in terms of becoming a more market-oriented economy. That's, let's say, the rhetoric. In practice, we'll have to see, particularly because it does not depend only of the upcoming president, it also depends on his ability to manage the Congress where he does not have a majority. So this will be a tricky, let's say, problem. But I think that given the track record of the Kirchner's administrations, it is a welcome development and probably will also help, for instance, in terms of the relationship with Brazil, and eventually also in terms of the overall positioning of Mercosur, the common market of South America, vis-a-vis trade negotiations. So this, I think, is good news. Now, you mentioned Colombia and Chile. These are countries that have been pursuing very different trade strategies, exactly because they actually, this is also correlated with the size of these economies, but they are much more outward-oriented than either Argentina or Brazil. And in this context, they have a much better track record in terms of engaging in trade negotiations and also liberalizing their economies. But in both cases, they are being significantly affected now by the price of commodities. But there are very different strategies. I would characterize the Mercosur strategy, which is inward-oriented and based on trade diversion rather than trade creation, and the strategy of the Pacific Alliance of countries like Colombia and Chile, and in the case of Chile also, now with TPP, we are going to see additional possibilities in terms of dynamism and in terms of the Chilean brand from the perspective of foreign investors.
Okay, Professor, I'd like to wrap it with this. Say, for example, you're 22 years old, your education in hand, and you can move to start your future anywhere in the world. Where would you go?
Well, if you look in terms of broad economic trends, of course, you would go east. I expect the trend, let's say, for the economic center of gravity of the world to continue to move towards the east by countries like China, India, but also Indonesia and others. So this is a very generic proposition, because then you have to ask what are the other parameters that you would like, let's say,
right, like including freedom, civil liberties.
Definitely, then you would rather be in Hong Kong than in mainland China. You would rather be in India than in mainland China. But then you have to ask, if you are, let's say, under a view of ignorance, in the sense that you are just looking in terms of opportunities, but you don't know if you are going to fit into a well segment of society or a poor segment of society, then I would say I would rather be poor in China than in India. I would rather be wealth in India than in China.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Professor. still believe that it makes sense to learn Mandarin after talking to you.
Well, definitely that's something that will be in growing demand, although this should not be read as an interpretation that the Chinese economy is going to continue to grow at dramatic pace as we saw in the last 20 or 30 years or so. Okay?
Okay, Professor. Have a great day. Happy holidays to you, and appreciate you sharing your vast body of knowledge in the geoeconomic circle. One more thing, though. Is there anything geopolitically that you worry about at night when you see things that are happening in Syria with Russia being in the Middle East? And you talk about Chinese growth and they're building islands, and then the U.S. sends naval ships in that area. Is there anything that you put into your equation as far as what could be geopolitical risk that could throw all economic equations out the window?
Well, definitely, let's say the potential for geopolitical shocks to be much more destabilizing than in recent years has increased over the last 2 years, going from Eastern Europe or the Ukrainian situation to, of course, the Middle East and also what is happening in the South China Sea. Having said that, financial markets typically discount very highly these geopolitical risks, at least till they become a major reality. Now, one area that I think, particularly for your viewers in Europe, is something that definitely will have a direct impact, and I would argue is already having a direct impact both in the politics and economics, are the migration pressures that we are seeing associated with the Middle East crisis. So it has fiscal implications, may lead to the destabilization of countries like Greece, for instance, and may also lead to major change in terms of one of the freedoms of movement in the context of the European Union. That is something to be considered.
Thank you so much, Professor. Happy holidays, Happy New Year. Great interview. Nice to have met you as well, Professor Braga.
Okay, thank you. Happy holidays to you all.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. So, my friends, I'm not going to be able to do a wrap-up today, right, Mauricio? You want to get prepared for Kathy Lean. Kathy Lean's going to be with us in 9 minutes. I want to thank everyone for their contributions. Congratulations on being short the dollar in different ways, Larians, and I'll be back with you early tomorrow with Val and Mauricio and maybe Yohei for the NFP. So thank you, everyone. I enjoyed working, hanging out with everyone today. Hope you enjoyed my imitation of Janet Yellen and Mario Draghi. Hope that I've accomplished my mission of building up, edifying you guys every day and having fun at the same time. So stay tuned for Kathy Lean. Thank you, Mauricio, for lining up that interview. And I'll see everyone bright and early tomorrow for the NFP. Thank you, Adinda, for facilitating it. Thank you, FX Street. Thank you, FX Pro, for being our sponsor. Adios, everyone. See you tomorrow.